Well, yeah. I know that many people at the moment are massive fans of Stephen Graham Jones. I know that a lot of people are massive fans of this book in particular. I am not one of them. I'm sorry, this book was terrible. Terrible enough to cause me to DNF it, and the only reason I am recording a review of it is because I got so far through it before making that decision. It's written like a classical piece of literature in terms of writing style. So the dialogue doesn't flow, the words don't flow in the modern vernacular, and that jolts and jars in my brain. So that was my first issue. The second issue was, have you ever seen the episode of The Simpsons where it revolves around a treasure? So Homer gets stuck in a cave. So he tells the story about Moe, who's telling the story about Lisa, who's telling the story about Mr. Burns, who's telling the story about a goat and a treasure and losing the... It's a story and a story and a story. So we start with a university student, no, not a university student, a university lecturer who's seeking tenure, that's right. And so they find, or they come into possession of this diary from their great-great-great-grandfather, I believe. So then, she's then telling the story of the great-great-great-grandfather, whatever he is, who then tells the story of a Native American by the name of Goodstab. And so it's a story and a story and a story. And it's supposed to be detailing Native American history and the horrors of that, whilst also introducing vampire lore. I nearly DNF'd it at 20 pages. I nearly DNF'd it again at 45. And I nearly DNF'd it again at 100. And I had to read the blurb 3 more times to remind myself that there was likely some vampire stuff coming up. So I said to myself, I need to struggle through this. When we get to the vampire stuff, it's probably going to pick up. No, it didn't. It was boring as fuck. I actually found myself falling asleep. I like history. I enjoy learning about history and historical things, even if it's uncomfortable history, because that's how we better ourselves as a society, by learning about the uncomfortable truths of history as a people, as a race, as a species, and then learning from it and trying not to make the same mistake again. Obviously that doesn't apply to America right now, but my point stands. The point of learning history is to learn from it and not repeat the mistakes of the past. Doesn't work, but that's the point. Never have I ever read something so boring about such a horrific piece of history as this book. The vampire stuff was rubbish. I can see what he was going for, but it did not land for me at all. The historical aspects didn't land for me at all. And he introduced so many characters that you're trying to remember, because of course they all have Native American names. Like they call the priest 3 persons, and his name is Goodstab, and then you've got other names like this. But a little difficult to keep track because there are so many of them at the beginning in these scenes. That's nothing really major. That's just something my brain struggles to remember people's names anyway. But there was no flow. The language was really difficult to follow. You know, I don't read Victorian, I read modern. So if you're going to have old style language, it's always going to be a problem for me, but it seemed excessive. So yeah, I DNF'd it just over a quarter of the way through, and it's kind of put me off reading any more of his books, if I'm honest. Yeah, no, I don't understand why people like this book. If you do like this book, more power to you. But for me, it was terrible, really. I sold it on Vinted the next day. But yeah, no, not for me. If you did read it and you enjoyed it, let me know, let me know how it went on later on, but just didn't land for me. I didn't think I'd be DNFing a book this early into the new year. But there we go. January the 3rd, I DNF this book. Sorry.